Hey there friends and enemies, Joker here again, and we just got a surprise DLC drop for Final Fantasy XVI called Echoes of the Fallen alongside the Game Awards last night. This is available now. You can drop in and play it. It does cost $10, or you can spend $25 to get this DLC alongside the other DLC, The Rising Tide, which will drop in spring of 2024. So, is this new DLC worth it? How much content do you get not only in this one, but also in The Rising Tide? And should you buy them individually or as a bundle? I believe that if you are a massive fan of Final Fantasy XVI, for me personally, it's my 2023 Game of the Year. This DLC is worth it, but you need to keep a couple things in mind. Echoes of the Fallen is about 3 hours of story. You do get a new location and some new enemies alongside the Buster Sword that you can use with Clive, the old favorite weapon from Cloud in Final Fantasy VII. So that's really cool. I do find it very interesting. We also have gotten a bunch of free updates over the course of time since the release of Final Fantasy XVI. So if you haven't played in some time, it is a good idea to jump back in the game at this point because there have been a lot of updates. As far as $10 for the DLC, like I said, if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy XVI and just want more content, I do believe it's worth it. The final boss battle is great in my opinion. I'm a big fan. I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, but I highly recommend checking it out. I believe that the boss battles and the icon battles are the best things about Final Fantasy XVI overall, and so that's what really has me excited. But keep in mind, there aren't any new abilities to unlock with this DLC, and there aren't any icon battles either. That is likely going to be saved for the Rising Tide, which has teased Leviathan, the long missing icon from the base game who was hinted at but never really confirmed. So overall, I do think, again, it's going to be worth it. That second DLC is likely to fall in around 10 hours of full gameplay alongside icon abilities, alongside an icon battle. So again, that's going to be a meteor DLC dropping in the spring. But this one I found to be very, very interesting. It is a more lore-based story type of DLC where you do get a bunch of information about the Fallen that we kind of learned about a little bit during the main campaign, but this one will give you a little bit more depth to who they are. It talks about the Magitech War and a bunch of stuff like that that I found to be pretty fascinating. The other thing to keep in mind with these DLC is that they take place, at least the first one does, midway through the campaign. So you're going to proceed through the base game before taking this on in anticipation of the final battle. You're not going to go to the final fight and then fight this DLC combat. You're going to actually go through the story, and then you'll get a pop-up for the DLC mission, which you can take on at any point during the main campaign as you're proceeding through. That's one thing to remember, because if you've played the base game, you understand that the way the game ends, there's a lot of things, a lot of mystery and everything like that. So none of that is spoiled with the DLC. And I'm imagining it won't be spoiled with the second DLC either. It does continue the story of Clive alongside Joshua and Jill, as well as Torgal, of course, is there for the ride. So anyway, I think the DLC for me is worth it. But if you are not sold on Final Fantasy XVI, if it wasn't a game that really captured you, or if you have not played the game yet, I would not go ahead and purchase the DLC at this point until you've played and enjoyed the base game. The base game has to be something that translates for you, otherwise you're not going to have fun with the DLC either. And that's a big part of recommending this. Die-hard Final Fantasy XVI fans will definitely enjoy this DLC. Maybe it's worth it to you, maybe it's not. 3 hours for $10, that's up to the individual purchaser. But as far as your enjoyment of this DLC, I do think it largely depends on how much you enjoyed Final Fantasy XVI as a whole. Do you think 3 hours is worth it for $10? And are you looking forward to just playing more Final Fantasy XVI overall? Those are the big question marks that I think you have to answer in order to determine whether this is going to be worth it or not. For me, it is. For a lot of people, it might not be, and that's perfectly fine. I still feel like this game is phenomenal, and any chance I get to jump back in and play more of it, I will jump at that. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously, shows you want to see more Final Fantasy XVI content going forward. I'm going to cover the final boss fight of this DLC, as well as a bunch of the content leading to the next DLC, which should definitely be a bit meatier. I should make some different build guides with the Leviathan icon abilities, as well as the Leviathan boss fight as well. I'm looking forward to that a ton. My name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.